Welcome to the ThunderCast, your Marshall Athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans, with your hosts, Russ Livingood and KD Hudnall. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week, so keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose. Thanks for downloading another episode of the ThunderCast. Russ, it was such a busy week that we had to cram in another episode this week. So I don't think there's any reason to slow roll this bad boy. You can follow us on Twitter at ThunderCast_pod. And of course, the links to all of our social media outlets are in the descriptions to every episode, including ThunderCast.online, which is the online home of the ThunderCast, where you can find all kinds of cool exclusive articles. There's some informational videos and stuff like that as we edge closer to football season coming back around. But of course, before all that, it's spring game, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. So let's get into this with a quick word from our sponsors at Leasure Oliver PLLC.
If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com.
Well, never ones to disappoint, Russ. We are giving our good friends at Ignite Link more than their money's worth this week, because it's going to be, well, at least 5 more things that every herd fan needs to know this week. So lay them on me.
All right, so we're going to start off with number 1 here. Awesome to see Kim Caldwell named the Maggie Dixon NCAA Division I Rookie Coach of the Year.
I'm not sure I had that one on my expectations list, right? But I don't think that anybody could rightfully argue against Coach Kim being in line to get this award. I mean, do we have to go over everything again? I mean, I will. I don't mind.
I don't think it needs to be said, but let's just do it anyway. Most wins in the history of the program.
Yep.
Most wins by a first-year coach, which obviously won the regular season and the conference title, doubled the attendance. I know that isn't a criteria for what they were probably looking at, but I think it means a lot to us.
Sure. And things that I like to point out, remember, I've said this how many times, 2 separate 10-game win streaks in this season after struggling to incorporate this system early in the year. So that right there is it speaks a lot about the team in and of itself. The championships are great. Obviously, they're great. But when you start out struggling to try to figure it out, you lose your leading scorer from a year ago. Your down low presence is gone for 8 or 9 games throughout the season. And still, this lady women's herd team was able to notch 2 separate 10-game win streaks en route to 2 different championships in this season. Speaking volumes just does not simply adequately describe what Kim Caldwell has done with Marshall women's basketball in year 1. Absolutely the bona fide coach of the year. I don't even care that they stick the qualifier of rookie coach of the year. She, in my opinion, should have been in conversations just for coach of the year. I don't care if you've been coaching somewhere 100 years. The job she did just merits that kind of accolade. So great way to start off this episode.
Yeah. Only thing that I want to say about this, there's a lot of rumors that hit social media last night as woe is us. Kim Caldwell's gone. She's for sure gone to Tennessee. Guys, this happens when you have a really good coach winning awards like this. You're going to hear rumors like this. Just treat them as rumors right now and don't start fretting about, oh, she's 100% gone. There's one, we don't know if she's actually on their list. 2, it's very early against who she would be up against. We don't know. There's no need to speculate. If we hear something, if we hear something concrete, we're going to hear it. But I don't know why that we.
Well, I can tell you, people want to be first. That's
Yeah.
what it is. And I don't care about being first, right? Like that's never really been a thing for us. I'm not concerned with breaking the news,
Yeah.
right? And I'm able, I mean, we're the ones with mics in front of us, and so I can just take a rumor as a rumor.
Yeah.
And a lot of times where there's smoke, there is fire. But sometimes where there's smoke, it's just smoke, So I know the norm for mid-major schools is now you have a coach that does really well and you don't have them very long, right?
Mhm.
That's just kind of how it is. We've seen it a ton of times in football, men's basketball, women's basketball, softball, everywhere, baseball. It just happens. But sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes a coach wants to stay somewhere, even if it is for just 2 years. But until there's something official out there, Kim Caldwell's still the head coach at Marshall University,
Yeah.
right? And that's good enough for me.
My point, I got a little brain freeze there trying to think of something, but KD nailed it. But also, when you have a coach winning these awards, you're going to hear all of this coming mostly from fans of other teams because it's their personal wish list.
Sure.
And then things are going to gain steam like that. But do you remember when we had Coach Huff on here and he talked about interviewing with Duke, and he mentioned why he interviewed with them, and he had no intentions really of going, but he felt obligated to take the interview? Coaches can interview, and that doesn't mean they're going to leave. Even if she did interview, we still don't know.
Yeah.
Right now, it's message board fodder, it's social media fodder. Just relax and let's see how it goes. But if Coach Caldwell is going to come in and win awards like this, she is going to be on everybody's short list.
Well, before you go to number 2, if she's not on somebody's list, then what the hell is that school doing?
That's right.
Because that's exciting basketball we have in Huntington, West Virginia. It's winning basketball that we have it's championship basketball. So if you don't want that, then you're unserious about building a competitive program. So you should be hearing her name on every single opening, every single candidate list. It should be happening. But until there's an announcement by a school, she's our coach. And every day she's our coach, I'm thankful for that, because in 1 year, what she did is just simply astonishing. And if we can keep her the duration of the 7-year contract, just
Oh,
think
man.
of where Marshall women's basketball will be at the end of it. Even if it's just 2 years or even if it's just 1 year, she's changed the perception of this program and what can be accomplished here. Let's just hope we can keep her here for, as long as we possibly can.
Yeah. Number 2, Abby Herring. There's that name again, is the Sun Belt Conference Women's Outdoor Track Athlete of the Week. When you hit nearly 2 minutes, when you can play Radiohead's I Will in the duration of the time that she improved on her school record already, and it's the first in the Sun Belt right now in that 10K category. She deserves this. I just don't know why they're not renaming their award like we're going to rename 5 things. The Abby Herring Award, Women's Track Athlete of the Week.
Well, I want to tell you, so I don't know if you saw this or not, but track coach Caleb Bowen interacted with us a little bit on the heels of some of the clips that were posted when us talking about Abby and her record. And I think Caleb nailed it. He was like, Abby's not a thing. She is the thing in herd athletics. She is the thing. This was basically a foregone conclusion. Like, how could you break a record in such a fashion and not be recognized on a conference level?
Yeah.
We all fans of all schools think that, your conference has something against your school, right? Like we all think that because every award isn't given to our athletes. But I would have felt some type of way if this one had gone to another athlete, because this is just a utter dominating performance. You mentioned the high watermark in the Sun Belt this year in this discipline. So how could it not have been Abby Herring, Sun Belt Outdoor Women's Runner of the Week? Had to be that way.
All I can tell you is everyone else, all you other runners in the 10K, she's already got the mark. But from what we've seen of her, all she likes to do is break records and keep breaking her own records. So good luck. That's all I
Yeah,
got to
that
tell you.
number that time will inevitably get lower, so
Yeah.
good luck.
Number 3, got some unfortunate transfer portal news. Jacob Connor for men's basketball and Tara Harness for women's basketball both enter the transfer portal. KD, let's talk about them separately.
Sure. The news of Jacob entering the transfer portal came literal minutes after we wrapped up our episode the other day, which is why that wasn't included. Little bit of a shocker. Going to be honest, there had been really no um, smoke, no rumor around that potentially happening. It just happened, and I got no problems, right? Like Jacob has got to do what Jacob wants to do, and if he feels like he'll be a better fit with another program, then okay. It sucks to see him go. It was a guy that we thought might be a big contributor next year or this coming season. Um, I don't know. He's been a pretty productive player, you know. But maybe he just sees this as an opportunity for a fresh start, and that's fine. I've got no problems with that. And I don't know if we're going to go into this, but I'm going to go into this. I watched Corny's press conference, and there is a little bit of news, not really news, but I'm connecting some dots. I feel better now about Nate Martin coming back, and I feel better about Obina coming back. So it was surprising that Jacob Connor hit the portal. I thought that would be a third piece along with Wyatt Fricks. You talking about 4 guys, definitely those 4 guys that would be here. So now, for the time being, it looks like just those 3 for sure will be returning. But nonetheless, somewhat shocking news, but I wish him all the best in his next chapter.
I feel like he was a little bit out of position this year. Last year, I felt like he was in a more true to his game position. Can he handle the point? Yes. He didn't have a lot of turnovers out there from a ball handling standpoint. Was he a traditional point guard? No. Um, but I do think he could handle it. And I think that it was kind of a product of us not having a true point guard on the roster that was at the starting level, that he had to play there. We saw a couple of years back, almost everyone was out of playing out of position in that down year 2 years ago. Got to go back into position, and everyone's stats increased, the wins increased, all that. So I do think he was forced to play out of position by a little bit. I do think that he will do well somewhere else, and I wish he would have came back, if nothing else, to provide some familiarity with the roster, familiarity with the system that we're probably going to be playing is going to be a lot like it was the last 10 years, with Corny's tweaks and everything. But again, every time we talk about a transfer out on here, I'm going to wish him well and hope he does great wherever he's at. And no matter what, always a son or a daughter of Marshall.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason to, spit vitriol at these men and women on their way out of Marshall. There's
Yeah,
absolutely no reason for that. And I'll say it again, every time we talk about transfers out, I say it. This is an opportunity to get better at a position,
right.
right? It's another scholarship that's open that was not open, and
Mm-hmm.
now it is.
Yep.
And the portal is filled, absolutely filled with players that can come in and put a championship level team on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with it, it's some of the pieces that indeed are currently returning, because they haven't said otherwise. Marshall's going to be pretty attractive to some guards and some shooters, because the down low presence seems like it is taken care of right now. But one thing is for sure, you got to go out and try to find that game changing point guard, because
Yeah.
it feels like in this type of system, in these type of offenses, you have to have that more than not. In the style of play that we play, it feels like that is a bona fide must. You need somebody that can play like their hair's on fire, but in a controlled chaos sort of way, and find the open shooter, make things happen. And it's something like you said, it was just big missing piece this past season.
Do you remember what Coach Dan Tony said in his analytics quote from years ago that was a soundbite? And he talked about the highest percentage of points per shot. It was the corner three. Well, you get more corner threes when you have a penetrating point guard and they come out to him and it gets to kick it out to that corner three. It's just a huge cog of this system. And it showed this year,
Sure.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Shooting was down across the board, but it really showed that we did not have that creator, that penetrating guard, and it was hard to get those more wide open shots or just slightly more open shots that might put that shooting percentage higher. And we talked a lot. It was not great basketball year round, but in some different games, shooting was, you hit 3 more threes, you win that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is a huge turnaround if we can get a penetrating point guard, a true point guard to come in here on that system. So I'm with you. It's a spot that we now have available. Let's go get better.
Mm-hmm.
Tara Harness, thoughts on her?
Well, played her ass off
Yeah.
for women's basketball this year, and really gutsy, gritty player, easy to like, right? Was not the one that was garnering all the shine, and it's really hard to do that when you've got the player of the year on the roster, when you've got 2 on the all tournament team, 3 on the all conference team, but still very solid contributor for the Herd this year. She's going to be a good player for someone, that without a doubt. And this is one of those things for me that makes the portal sessions and the recruiting sessions for Coach Kim more intriguing, right? Because we talked about it how many times about not being able to fill out the entire roster with her type of player, and still we achieved at a very high level. Again, this is another opportunity to get better at a position. You're already talking about losing some all-time great players, right? Solid pieces do return, but anytime you are going to have perhaps a scholarship open up that you might not have thought was going to open up, then I think a coach like Kim is going to be able to attack that roster spot like few other will do, because she knows exactly what she's looking for. She knows exactly who she can go after. And I just expect a instant impact player to fill that scholarship spot. But before you chime in, I don't want to I got to drive back home. I think Tara will be very successful wherever she goes. And again, I wish her well and thank her for her effort and blood, sweat, and tears for the Herd, because she's not a small reason that we have a championship banner hanging, where there will be 2 more actually hanging.
Yeah, so she played more in Tony Kemper's system than she did in Coach Caldwell's, but she still was in 16 games, over half the games this year. When she came in, she was part of that hustling press, came in giving people a rest. She did not put up the eye-popping numbers and stuff like that, but, when she came in, she played her role very well.
Sure.
So when she comes in off the bench and she's getting, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes a game, something like that, perhaps, I'm not speaking for her, but what we have seen other times, perhaps she wants to go somewhere where she will be playing more, maybe starting somewhere. Maybe it's at a lower level, maybe it's at the same level, we don't know, but perhaps that is a reason, is that she would like to have more of that playing time like the previous year. She went from 16 minutes 2 years ago to 4 minutes last year, and obviously points and rebounds and things are going to go down from that. But she came here from upstate, and she was getting 30 minutes a game there and started just about every game. So perhaps That's what she's looking for, is to finish her career out somewhere where she's pegged to be a starter and have a bigger
Sure.
role in the team.
For
Can't
sure.
fault that either. Always a daughter of Marshall.
Absolutely.
Number 4. This, if anything, will show you that KD and I do not talk about these beforehand, because he already alluded to it a little bit when we were talking about number 3. Number 4, Nate Martin is staying for men's basketball. That came out from our good friend Luke Creasy. Had made a tweet talking about when he was talking to Nate Martin, got a direct quote that he was recruited by Cornelius Jackson. He feels loyalty to him, and he can't imagine leaving for his final year because he is so happy for Corny that he is staying. So if any of you missed that little news blurb from Luke, who does a great job covering our sports, if I do have to keep saying, if you missed that, Nate Martin is returning, and he was a huge part of our success, what we did have last year.
Yeah, if you're looking for the, the edit, the graphic of "I'm back" or something with a statement, that's not what this was. Now, you still might see one of those, but this was in passing of talking to players post Coach Jackson introductory presser. Kind of getting some player reaction. And that's why I said I felt good about where Nate and Oben in particular are, because during the press conference, Coach was like, "I see Obina over there, looking at me." And so I was like, okay, so they're there. All right, good. And, they're obviously supporting the move. So that's good. But, like you said, it was just a quote in a tweet from Luke. And that was enough for me. I don't need the fancy edit and, graphic and all that stuff. I don't need the "I'm back." If he wants to do that, cool. I think that's okay too. But that's enough for me to feel even better about the two guys down low coming back, particularly Nate Martin, because he just flat out said, "I'm coming back."
Everyone talked about Nate year round from game 1 to the final game.
Mm-hmm.
The effort that he put, the passion that he played with, he hit the boards hard. It was something that we really needed, was that defense, the blocks, not just the "excuse me" blocks. Most of his were the emphatic blocks, the ones that get the crowd up on their feet. He hit an average of double-double, if I'm not mistaken. I think that he finished with that. It was real close on one of the two stats, but points and rebounds, he was a double-double machine all year. Um, just a great low post presence. And we talked about the point guard, how we had to run this system through the point guard. In absence of that penetrating point guard last year, a lot of our plays and what we did were ran through Nate Martin. That's how much of a focus he was, that the ball went to him at the high post, and then I wouldn't call him a point forward, but in his power forward role, he really ran and dictated the offense and where the ball flowed after it started with him.
Yeah, I don't think we have to sell fans on the importance of Nate Martin, right? He was basically a walking double-double for the Herd, and that allows Herd fans to have a little bit of a collective exhale in this transition year between head coaches, and what will the roster look like, because that's a bona fide piece that is going to be an absolute asset for the Herd this year.
All right, so let's finish this off with a little extended fifth thing here. Uh, Tickets and parking are currently on sale for the spring game. You can go to herdzone.com. You can call up the ticket office. You can go over there on the third floor of City National Bank, get your tickets. It is 2 weeks from now. Today's the 5th as we're recording. The game is on the 20th. So we are looking at, will these sell out? No. Is it first come, first serve? Yes. Get your tickets, be prepared, come over there and have your tickets so you can get a tailgating spot on the lot. KD, why do they want to tailgate on the lot?
Well, if you were there last year, A, you already know why. B, it's going to be bigger at least from our standpoint, than it was last year. And C, it's just fun. If you weren't there last year, you have no idea what you missed out on. We had an immensely large amount of killer food that was absolutely free for people to come over. And we're doing that again with some help of our good buddies. The Kentucky Mash Boys will be back cooking again. You guys have had their food several times. They've cooked for us probably getting close to half a dozen or more times now. The whole thing is made possible for herd fans by landscaping by Hillcrest, and we can't say thank you enough to those guys. Landscapingbyhillcrest.com. Please just go to the website and check it out if you're looking to revamp your backyard or your outdoor spaces. But the other main reason is everybody's starved for football by the time spring game rolls around. And this is your chance to see your first glimpse of what a brand new Marshall Thundering Herd is going to look like. Air raid, revamped defense to a certain extent. I mean, hey, man, new coaches in the building. There's a little bit of consistency from last year, but there's a whole lot of new. And this is your first opportunity to get your eyes on the prize of this new look Marshall Thundering Herd. But of course, for our purposes, it's all about the tailgate and the fan experience. Tickets are cheap. Tailgate spots are plentiful. There is absolutely no reason that you shouldn't be planning now for April 20th. That's what I'm doing on Saturday, April 20th. And before I let you back in here, it's also what you should be doing on April 21st because Herd Baseball and Herd Softball are both in town. And if you were there for last year's Sunday softball game, you're going to see more of that with the ThunderCast this year. A second tailgate once again for Herd Baseball and Herd Softball. Make it what you do that weekend. April 20th and 21st should be all about the herd for you because it's going to be all about the herd for us that weekend.
We're going to run it back. And in doing so, Landscaping by Hillcrest said, yes, run it back. Let's run it back. They helped us last year on some tailgates in the fall. They said, yes, but can you do it bigger? And we said, yes, we can. And they are making that so much bigger than it was last year. Not that it was small, not that it was even above average last year. It was epic last year. This year, just like Abby Herring, we're blowing epic out of the water. So get over there. Last year, for instance, on Friday alone, we went through 9 pork bellies for pork belly burn-ins, and that is a lot of pork belly. If any of you have cooked and know how much food that was, it was a lot. We had whole chickens last year. We had pork butts last year. We had these burn-ins last year. Kyle Walker made I hate using the name.
Oh, whatever. Say it, man. They're awesome.
Atomic buffalo turds. And they were gone. We went through all this stuff. Well, this year we're not going to go through all that stuff because we're going to have that much more of it. And then we're going to have it over in the softball grass behind the center field wall. We're going to have the tailgate again, just like we did last year. But this year, people that are going to the baseball game, they'll probably come over and tailgate and watch some softball with us before they go over to the baseball game.
So. Yeah, and I want to reiterate, I haven't forgotten about the, James Madison fans were the one, well, that's who we were playing last year during that. And they were like, man, is this how you guys do it for softball? And we're like, yes, it is how we do it for softball. And they, a lot of them were like, well, we'll get you all back, talking about our softball parents. We'll get them back when they come to Harrison. If they haven't done that, they owe you one. All right. But this year, I can't remember. Is it Georgia Southern or Georgia somebody? I'm
remember. Looking up right now because I knew that's where you were going.
I think maybe Georgia Southern might be the baseball series. I don't know. Who is it?
I'm still looking.
Oh, okay, still looking. Well, anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. And the softball tailgate was just as fun as the football one last year. So come hungry. It's free for everybody. We don't ask that anybody contributes anything. But if you want to coordinate and you're like, hey, that sounds like fun. Maybe I'd like to bring some stuff. That's fine. You know, we'll make it even bigger and better. It's just more the merrier. You know, we are completely hoping to not run out of food, but that's all dependent on the size of the turnout. You know, it was big
Yeah.
last year and we went through all of that food. And if it's even bigger this year, man, oh man, I don't know. Because once you get a taste of the food that the Kentucky Mash Boys pull off the smokers, it's hard to not come back for more. That's all I'm going to say. It is that damn good.
Softball this year is going to be the Beach Chickens,
Ooh,
Coastal
okay.
Carolina. Yeah. And that'll
Okay.
be noon on Sunday, 1 p.m. on baseball. We bring the mighty Old Dominion Monarchs to
Oh man,
town.
how do they keep benefiting from our ThunderCast tailgates? What the heck?
So we're that'll be at 1 p.m. that day. So like I said, people going to come over early, hopefully get their bellies full and watch a little softball action. But shifting back over to the spring game just for a
Yep.
minute.
Yep.
You already mentioned that we've got this epic tailgate and that we have a new look at the air raid and everything. I don't know how much value I can put on this versus every other year. Every year it's like 4 months that you're starved of football and you want to go to this anyway. But this is the first time in a long time that I can remember that we are bringing in mid coaching, not a coaching change, mid coaching regime, a brand new offense that is just 180 degrees different than what we had coming into it.
Yeah.
With that, a new starting quarterback for this new offense.
Yeah.
Not every quarterback is going to be here for that spring game because Mitch Griffiths is finishing up at Wake Forest and will join the team over the summer. But you're going to get a look at what this offense is going to look like, and you're going to get a look at what these new players that we've brought in from the transfer portal are going to look like.
Yeah.
So get there, go there. All of this supports the MU Quarterback Club, by the way, who helps out the football program. So $5 out of your budget to go to feed that inner. It's been 4 months. I'm jonesing for some football. It's
Yeah.
nothing, man. $5. You can't go to Wendy's or McDonald's anymore for $5, but you can go to the Marshall Spring game.
Well, actually, you can go to the ThunderCast and Kentucky Mash Boys tailgate for $5. You know, you pay your ticket, you're going to get some really great food for free.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the football is there, but the food is unbelievable. And of course, we're going to be broadcasting live. We're going to make a great day out of it, just like we did last year. Set aside the time, guys. Seriously, set aside the time. Secure your tickets. Secure your tailgate spot. I mean, what's the cost of a tailgate spot?
$20 for a parking spot.
$25 all in for basically a wonderfully crafted meal, maybe two, and some football. And oh, by the way, you get to rub shoulders with fellow Herd fans and just have a great ass time out at the Joan. Best $25 you'll spend in the month of April, I guarantee it.
Now, we don't have names to divulge right now, but we are going to have some special guests for our live show. They will not just be there when the cameras are rolling, so you'll have opportunities to eat and rub elbows alongside some Herd greats from all years, all decades. And they'll be there in the lot. They're having a huge reunion this year. We'll be doing some stuff with them Friday night, and then Saturday we're going to have some of them for our tailgate show as well. So
absolutely, man.
Make sure you're over there. KD, I've got one more thing about this.
Shoot it.
Thanks to the Big Green and Ryan Crisp, we are going to have a reward for any folks that are coming over and say, you know what, I have not joined the Big Green, but I would like to. How much does it cost to join the Big Green?
As little as $5 a month.
$5 a month. And that gets you, if you do this for a first time joining the Big Green at our tailgate, this gets you some custom Marshall oven mitts / grill mitts, and you will be entered into a drawing that will be held either later that day or possibly after the softball tailgate. We have to work that out, but definitely that weekend that we will have a drawing for a 17-inch tabletop Blackstone tailgater flat top grill. And the Big Green is paying for this, and they just said, hey, we want to use this as a giveaway for anyone that stops by your tailgate. So anyone signing up to be a Big Green member, and that opens you up to the herd discount perks, to where you can go to all these local places that you're already going to, and you can save 10%, some places 15%, some places it's per item. There's a different savings. You spend $5 a month, you can get really however much back per month you're already spending at these places. But I guarantee a lot of these places you're going to, you're already spending more than the $60 a year in savings that you would get with this card. And that money helps fund scholarships for all athletes, not just football. But we talk about swimming and diving. We talk about track and field. We talk about tennis. We talk about softball. All that money is helping us have these scholarships for these programs, and just opens up that much more money for the athletic department to use elsewhere. Better travel, more uniforms, all the different things that they need.
Mm-hmm. That is an unbelievable gesture on the part of the Big Green. But I think that's something that is really, really enticing to potential new members of the Big Green, especially if you're a tailgater / griller. You like to do that kind of stuff at home. Like you don't have to bust out the grill. You've got a tabletop Blackstone. That's awesome. So appreciate the Big Green, and of course Ryan Crisp, who always treats us so well and is a big supporter of the things that we try to do and how we try to help grow the Herds fan base. That's an awesome thing. And I can imagine that this will be a very, very easy process. You're not going to have to be carrying around cash and pay. You could probably do everything right there online. I don't know. I'm speculating. It might be something as easy as a QR code that you scan with your phone and you sign up and bam, done, and done. Another reason to get out and get a ticket to the spring game, to get a tailgate spot, come over and hang with us, sign up for the Big Green, $5 a month. You can donate more. Don't get it twisted. But for as little as $5 a month, you can be a part of the Big Green, get the herd perks, and just support herd athletics. It's not over until we can fund 100% of the scholarships for our herd athletes. Every single one. So let's make this happen. Set that aside too. Put that as part of your weekend. I'm going to join the Big Green weekend, or I'm going to join the Big Green that weekend. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get off the fence. Hell with it. These guys are trying to, enhance the fan experience, both in the athletic department. Everything is fans first now, and we're constantly trying to make things better for all the things that we can do. So if that's worth $5 more of your hard-earned money every month to join the Big Green, we sure would be for it. But man, what a great deal. What a great deal.
Nothing more that I can say on this except for over the next 2 weeks, we're going to have more and more info. But do us a favor, head over to Facebook, follow and like Landscaping by Hillcrest. Just look at their photos. Look at the footprint of where they're showing these photos and job sites. We have people all the time talk to us last year when they were sponsoring our tailgates in the fall, and they would say, yeah, but I'm not in Huntington. I'm not in the tri-state area. Man, they are in northern Ohio. They are as far into Kentucky. They're in southern West Virginia. They've been into Virginia. They'll go just about everywhere. This is not someone coming to mow your grass. This is someone coming to redesign your entire outdoor space. If you want an outdoor kitchen, they'll do it. If you want a paver patio, they'll do it. If you want a fence, they'll do it. If you want any kind of hardscape, they'll do it. Water feature, they'll do it. They have a product that they're going to be talking about that day on our live show that they like to say covers your ugly. Let's say that you have a large crack in your driveway, and think of how much money that would be to tear up the driveway and redo all the concrete and everything. They have rubber stone that goes right over it. You can pick your colors. Hell, you can put Kelly Green with an M Marshall logo on there if you want. They do insets, they do just about everything. That's what I'm telling you. Go there, landscaping by hillcrest.com, or on Facebook. Look at all the stuff that they do. And it is because of them that you are going to have an epic weekend with Marshall Athletics and the ThunderCast and the Kentucky Mash Boys.
Yeah, that's true. If you're out, if you think you're outside of their geographic service area, tell you what, why don't you contact them and let them decide if you're outside of their area? Russ, you got anything else?
No, we're going to take it around the herd, but again, those are 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week. As always, brought to you by Ignite Link, the Tri-State's premier IT management team. All right, so we're going to go around the herd, and we're going to start with men's golf. And I just have to tell you, this is one of the coolest things, yet one of those what-if things. They were down at the intercollegiate, the Golf Week Intercollegiate in Pawleys Island, and they had a kind of a rough first round. They were 15th out of 19. You and I, when we recorded, we talked about where they were at the time. Tyler Jones was even par. Everybody else was just a little bit over. So what they do in the second round, they made a huge run. They went up 8 spots to tied for 7th, made an absolute remarkable turnaround, shooting under par, 5 under as a team. Well, the final round comes, and they're making even more. Through 13 holes, Joseph Kolaski was 4 under through 13 on his own. Weather hits, cancels everything. They were tied for 4th and moving up. They were getting ready to, if they kept that pace going, they were going to be pushing for first place, second place at the worst. And weather came through. Everybody knows what kind of weather the East Coast had and the Midwest had. It canceled it. The way the rules work, they had to omit everything that happened in that third round and just go back to the first 2 and say that's where it was. So officially, Marshall ends up tied for 7th, but unofficially, we know what we did in the second round, what we were doing in the third round. That was some good golf, and that's got to be a great morale booster for all these guys.
Yeah, I would say so. That it was a slow start, and then they started catching a little fire, and then the weather, the rain put out the fire. That's all you can say. But they've been doing well. Men's golf has been doing well. It just sucks that they were looking like they were in contention to potentially win that tournament or finish a really strong second, and the weather just did not cooperate. But sometimes, I will say this: herd golf, please, guys. What does a guy got to do to get some freaking hats? Because first it was the regular hat with the Marco, and now the bucket hat. Did you see the bucket hat?
I saw the bucket hat.
What in the freaking hell, guys? Like, is it? I'll pay the postage. Send me a couple of hats because I'm down here in sunny Florida. I sure could use a sweet bucket hat. And yeah, look, I wear my hats backwards. Send me the golf hat, the regular hat with Marco on the front. I'll turn my hat around. I'll put it on the ThunderCast for you. Send me some hats, man. Just hook a brother up. I'll gladly pay the postage.
KD, with those hats, I think that you would love to have a swimming and diving towel.
A towel as well, yeah. Jeez. Like, I'm not as far yet as I would like if they had some swim trunks, maybe, but I don't think I could, rock the diving outfit as well or the swim cap per se. But the golf hats and the towels are 2 of the sweetest things that we have. And I tell you what, I'm gonna down this hill, Russ. They ought to be herd zone, like in-store exclusives. Like that's something that will pull people into the store at the stadium or at the Jack, to buy those items. Those ought to be exclusive, not in the bookstore, not anywhere else. At our on-campus athletic stores is where those ought to be.
Yeah, and I mean benefiting those programs because these are largely not large spectator events, and even if they are, they don't charge admission. So selling these things, these items,
it's a no-brainer to me.
You've got a winning idea here. All you got to do is get a little bit of inventory, or hell, just don't even stock the inventory. I mean, you need to have some for like you're talking about for the bookstore and for
but you could largely do a pre-sale.
you
Largely.
can, and just ship these things countrywide. I know everyone would love. I would love to have Marshall towels, not just to take to the beach, but I would love
I
to
would
have
use
one.
them
I know,
daily.
but I would like to have one too, just to hang up somewhere,
Mm,
because it's got that huge script Marshall that looks so good. It's like
yeah.
what's right over your head there, just in towel form.
Yeah.
And yeah, those and those hats, that bucket hat. I mean, that was front and center in that article for the men's, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna have
Come on. Come on. At Herd Golf. I'm good. I hope this turns into a clip because I'm tagging them 100%.
to.
Please send me some. I don't ask for much, but I'm a total gear nerd, right? And I love that stuff. So give me the good stuff, man. Give me some hats for crying out loud. There are no good hat choices anywhere around Tampa, Florida for the Herd, right? Um, but they're hoarding 2 killer designs. Man, hook me up.
All right, we're going to switch over to women's golf. They were at that same golf week intercollegiate, so it obviously got canceled as well for the third round. They just did not have as good of a story going as the men's golf. How they were improving. Yeah, they were doing better in the third round, but they finished overall 18th out of 19th. Casey McIlvain was highest for us, tied for 49th overall, which 19 teams, 4 per. um, what is that, 76 players. So she was close up to the middle of the pack, just below middle of the pack. Not nearly as good of what we had going with the men, but as we've seen, they started off this year with a win in their very first match. So looking forward to seeing what those 2 teams do as they get closer and closer to Sunbelt Conference, which, by the way, is the 15th is when that starts, and that is in Alabama. We'll highlight that a little bit more when we have our next show.
All right.
All right. So, other than that, we want to remind everybody about what's coming up. Track and field has that split squad that we talked about on our last show. Some will be at the University of Charleston, right down the road, and the others will be in KD's neck of the woods at South Florida,
Yep.
USF.
They're there today, and they will be there tomorrow. I'm gonna try to go catch some of it. I haven't. It's been an incredibly busy week of work for me. I've been getting home later than normal, and I haven't been able to really see my wife at all. So every time when I come home, she's like already in bed, So I haven't been able to be like, "Hey, Saturday, I'd like to go down to USF for a little while." So I'm hoping I can make that happen, but I don't know. I think that's something cool that the family might be down for, even if it's just for a couple of hours, get us out of the house and check out something new, that's fairly close to our house. And then we could go do that for a couple of hours and then shoot over to Busch Gardens or something and finish out the day. So they're all right there pretty close together.
Maybe stop by Bed Bath and Beyond. You never
But
know.
sounds like a good little Saturday. I don't know. Could be a nice little Saturday.
All right. Also, do not forget our Diamond Sports. Baseball is hosting Texas State, and that is today, Friday, 6 p.m., tomorrow, 3 p.m. on Saturday, and 1 p.m. on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. Softball is heading down to Georgia, and I have to see right now if it's Southern or State. It is State. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they're
State.
in Atlanta.
5 p.m. Tonight, and then I think they are 3 p.m. and noon is what we're going to be looking at. I'm trying to confirm that right now. Actually, it is 1 p.m. tomorrow and 11 a.m. on Sunday. So, should be able in your preparation to go watch at the Jack live. You can watch softball on ESPN Plus before you go over there.
Yep. We've got tickets for the baseball series, of course. I've decided this weekend to make it easier. I'm just going to do a series of shock drops, and first one to claim when I post up the tweet or whatever is we'll get the tickets. So just be on the lookout for that. I'm going to do them just randomly. So make sure you can go to the game. That's really the only stipulation that we have. Don't take our tickets if you're not going to go to the game. So as long as you can go, put in for them. If you're the first one to reply, you will most likely get our seats.
KD, that does it for Around the Herd. You got anything else?
I do not. The only thing I want to say is make your plans now for spring game weekend. Set the time aside. Make the agreement with the wife. Make the agreement with the husband. Make the agreement with the boyfriend or girlfriend. Whatever you got to, whoever you got to make the agreement with, to be there. To try to be there all weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and have a great time with the ThunderCast, the Big Green, the Kentucky Mash Boys, and maybe some Herd Legends.
Kickoff 4 p.m. Parking lot opens at 10. Get your tickets now. I don't have anything else, so I'm going to take us out of here. Whether you see us at the Jack, whether you see us at the Dot, or whether you see us on the West Lot with the Kentucky Mash Boys and with Landscaping by Hillcrest, no matter where you see us, we're going to be saying, go Herd.
Go Herd. It's the ThunderCast. We'll see you next week. Later.